Hi, I'm Charles Carney at Prospect Avenue, Princeton. So I support...
Can you just say your name and address so that we can make sure we have it for the record?
Charles Carney, 702 Prospect Avenue, Princeton. So I support counting areas higher than 12 feet 2 times towards the floor area. That more closely aligns the floor area with the bulk of the house. On a related matter, I would suggest amending the rule about the porches extending into the front setback to exclude porches with ceilings above 12 feet, so that because already you're excluding a second story, but someone could put a multi-story porch, and that I think isn't the intent. So turning to the front setback, so I'm in the R5 zone on Prospect Avenue Extension, and there's no sort of sense there that the houses all line up, and I kind of don't quite know what it would mean to enforce it. I know on the other side of our street, on the lakefront, there's a sewer easement slap bang through the middle of all those lots. So some of them have very small setbacks, some have very large. If you take the mean, it's right on the sewer easement. So I also think that if you took an existing home and it was a tear down, then requiring it to match up with mean setback would mean cutting down trees in many cases, because you'd be moving it forward or backwards from where it was right now. So I just don't quite know whether it's appropriate to apply it to the R5 zone. I understand in a more urban setting in the borough it would be appropriate. But when I think about places like Prospect Avenue Extension, it seems like I don't see that it's going to work. I had thought, in fact, that the mean setback was going to be a proposed minimum setback, and that's not, of course, how it's being used here. So, all right, that's all. Thank you.
I just had a question about, so for the prevailing front yard setback, does that apply everywhere or only to certain size lots?
That's right. Only in the R5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in the township. In the borough, it would be in all the residential zones. In the township, that's a half-acre minimum, so Mr. Carney is correct. I didn't look at his street in particular to see how it would impact it. We can take a closer look at that. We haven't run into a case other than in smaller blocks where there's been that greater variety in it. And again, the ordinance does say that if there's... I think it makes sense in the half acre, but I could take a look at his street as well and report back to you and see if we need to propose a change. As with all zoning, nothing is going to be perfect, so there's always going to be the exception to the rule. And in terms of the land use world, if you have a sewer easement that prohibits you from going further back or prohibits you from going further front, that's a reason to get a variance. That's a definite hardship variance. So I think it can be dealt with. We'll take a closer look at his neighborhood and report back to you when this comes back for the public hearing.
Okay. Are there any other comments from the public?